We've heard a number of people tell us that the overall consumer today is not buying a product, he's buying an experience. And that's really what we're here to understand, is what is that whole experience that the customer is looking at? And are we as shopping center owners delivering that experience? And I put a few slides out, and we've got a great panel we're going to get their views. And I've just put a few slides to just give you all a sense of what's happening internationally. These are environments that are doing extremely well globally. Some of the best shopping centers, they create an experience that is unmatched. Now, I know a lot of people say that's international, you've got to do something in India, but this is what is making money. This is where the customer wants to go. Entertainment ideas, entertainment concepts, and I put this photograph in because it's not just about entertainment, it's the attention to detail. What are we doing to ensure that our customer actually gets a homely experience? I mean, we've all seen what's happened with Starbucks. It's a phenomenon. Customer comes in, he can sit in Starbucks for 4 hours, surf the internet. It's like home. Community. I read a recent article a few weeks back about a shopping center starting a petting zoo because kids didn't know. I mean, the closest zoo was an hour and a half away. Farmers markets, dining experiences, cinemas, the traditional pool, bowling, small entertainment concepts in food courts, entertainment, large big box, out of the box ideas, rock climbing walls. This is what's happening across the world. Skate parks, 4x4 race tracks within the shopping center, bowling, entertainment venues, kids' educational programs, and even simple food courts where you actually just have a regular experience in terms of watching a movie, skydiving into shopping centers, slopes for skiing. This is actually a shopping center that was built around an indoor stadium. And a lot of you have probably seen the Dubai ski slope. I'm sorry I'm moving fast on this because I want to get back to the panel. And really it's all about creating some level of magic and something memorable. And I put a few photographs in to just start our topic off, which is the Grand Bazaar, which was built in the 15th to 17th century, Covent Garden, which eventually opened in 1980 as a shopping center, Santon City, 1973, Colombo, Lisbon, 1997, and probably one of my favorite shopping centers, the Grove in LA, 2002. And I put a quote in by the managing director of the company who said at a conference that we don't design our properties to shop, but for people to enjoy. And when they feel good, they end up shopping. So, and this actually is probably amongst the top 10 shopping centers in the world today in terms of trading densities. So I'm going to leave a thought with you all that we really choose the model, what we want. And I'm going to move to our panel. We've got a great discussion coming up. And really, the starting point on my discussion, I'm going to move to some of the panelists, is the basics. Isn't shopping center moving more towards hospitality, where the overall experience, the infrastructure, the parking, etc. I mean, we all do a good job, but isn't it moving to the hospitality sector? And is there work that we need to do? And isn't that the starting point of creating a good experience? And maybe Rajneesh, I can get some thoughts from you on this.
Moving towards hospitality would be a requirement which is now felt, because let's look at what has happened in the country over the last 12 to 14 years since we started seeing the first set of malls coming in. We have got our urban spaces more localized. So within a radius of say 4 to 5 or 6 kilometers, you now definitely have 1, 2, or if you go to Ghaziabad or Gurgaon, maybe 5 malls. So the whole market is getting much more localized. It is no more that you're driving in people from 15, 20 kilometers in an urban space now. When you are getting so localized, there is a market share that you're looking at capturing. And when you're looking at capturing the market share, you have to do something different from the other. And many a times I have said this in this forum also, is that if you look at typically airlines, the hardware each one of them carries the same, more or less same. Is the soft services which makes the difference from for a customer to like one airline over the other. So if you ask people, Jet Airways has some perception, Indigo has other, Kingfisher would have had other, and so on. It is the same hardware. Each one is either flying in Boeing or in Airbus. I think more or less larger market share in aviation is with these two brands. But it is how you service the customer which makes the preference for an airline by the customer. Similarly, when you are competing in a very, very localized market, it is going to be the softer services, which as you termed as hospitality. So what does the customer feel when it steps into a mall? How does the environment respond back? Is what is going to define the preferences. I doubt if uh, the brand loyalties are going to play a very large role uh, because people are getting options and they are moving around different malls. So if I have to have preference for one brand, I can shop whenever I am in that mall. But for different activities, I think customer is choosing different centers. And I have seen and interacted with many, many friends and people who are in the business. So they have very clear defined preferences. If I'm going for movie, I'm going for this mall. If I'm going for food, I'm going to this mall. And whatever I can shop around, I can do that. So the preferences of activity is driving the footfall. The experience in that center is driving the footfall. What you feel when you are in a center. And I think if you look back and you compare not only the shopping center, the better looking shop also ends up doing better business. So over last many years, we have experienced a same shop in the same location of the mall, same size. Once they do renovation, they make it look little better, little brighter, little more fancier. The sales go up by 30-40%. And has their product changed? No. They're selling the same denim or shirt or the piece of apparel. It's just that a better looking store attracts more eyeballs. It attracts more customer into the store and better conversion. Similarly, an experience within the center will drive more people into the center. So hospitality is an way to connect with the customer, but how you make customer feel when they enter the shop or the shopping center, both is important. So if you have a great shopping center, but the shops are not of that standard, it will kill the purpose. And if you have great shops, but you don't have the shopping center experience matching the same standards, it will kill the experience again. So it is required. So we have to move little above basics of keeping the floor and the toilets clean, but to connect with the customer, make them feel better and make them feel happier. I think that would be the future.
Cyrus, what is your view doing something in a tier 2 market, right? Is it, you're building a shopping center. Do you really need to upgrade the basic experience? Get a great parking lot, get fabulous toilets, and just get an experience that people will walk in and say, that's like a 5-star hotel. Is that needed? Do you see that as an important element in your space?
I'd like to address this a little differently, Ashwin. I think possibly what we are seeing is that in tier 2 locations, a retail mall actually is probably part of what we call a social infrastructure. It's a place where families, where kids, where teenagers actually come, congregate, and in the absence of regulated social infrastructure, the mall serves that particular purpose. So clearly, as you rightly mentioned, in probably a little more mature environments, service is something which is very critical. I think in tier 2 locations, a mall actually fulfills the need of safe, hygienic, air-controlled social infrastructure. In our experience, and Amritsar probably has been a learning ground for us, clearly you've got to appropriately create a product for that particular TG. I mean, just to give you stray examples, we've had issues where fairly high-end fittings have needed to be replaced to appeal to a certain kind of TG. That also is part of our learning. So clearly you've got to get the basics right. I mean, that today is a given. So whether it's parking, whether it's housekeeping, whether it's cleanliness, whether it's your zoning adjacency mixes scientifically done, is a given. What we've got to see clearly is how we are appropriately creating an environment for our particular TG. And that, I think, is what has been clear learning for us as well.
Sure. So I think the key really is that the customer is evolving and you have to get the basics right. If you don't get the basics right, that's a non-starter to start with. Moving on to tenant mix and how important, we've heard this discussion on tenant mix always and how important is tenant mix from an experience perspective? And are we doing enough, or what do we really need to do? What are your insights of what we need to do from a tenant mix perspective to get more of an experience, get more entertainment? You know, Monish, maybe some thoughts from you, because you guys have done a lot on entertainment.
Yeah, entertainment, Ashwin, I would like to just point out is not restricted only to a multiplex or an FEC operator. It could be F&B, it could be a combination where the F&B outlets overlook the entertainment zone. So what we were able to create in Pune, because we have the unique advantage of having conceptualized, designed a mall which is indoor-outdoor mix with water bodies, landscape gardens between the two blocks. So we were able to get in the F&Bs overlooking the entertainment areas, overlooking the amphitheater and the LED screen. So what we have been able to achieve is a huge congregation of people in and around that entertainment area. Over the weekends, when there are cricket matches going on or when there are plays happening, we focus a lot on music-driven events. So not only do the multiplexes and regular Amoeba and the other entertainment operators serve that objective, but the mall itself has been able to create that kind of ambience for that.
Manish, what about you? I mean, you've got a lot of entertainment in your shopping centers. Is there a percentage that you allocate? Do you look at it from that perspective in your newer assets that we're just going to put 20%?
Yeah, so
30%?
fortunately we have a problem of plenty. In Noida itself, we have 147 acres. In Delhi, we have 65 acres. And retail is only 15%. So as that's part of getting that land. So we have a problem of plenty, but I think the way we have moved on is we have focused a lot on the infrastructure we have created to develop all these things. Just to give you an example, the 1 million square feet which we operate, and from my days of Ansel Plaza, I remember, when we used to come in, used to see long queues of cars coming inside. Used to, wow, my mall is successful. Gone are those days. So the 1 million square feet we operate in Noida, we operate out of 8,000 car parks. And I think that's the kind of infrastructure it takes. It was very easy to say, oh, people are waiting, let them wait. Infrastructure plays a very, very important role. Can you do it in all the properties? No, actually not. So somewhere, I think a bigger focus is that, we go abroad and all these good examples which you've shown, you have to go and see the bylaws. The car parking is free of FSI. Here they feel that, because the developer is making money out of parking, it should be limited to a percentage or something like that. So there is a basic issue in the bylaws in India why we are not able to, if you go and build your malls in Punjab, your toilets are part of FSI, and there are a lot of malls in Delhi who don't want to put toilets on the ground floor. And as expensive as lands what we buy, and as less as rents my friends pay, so why not?
But you still built 8,000 car parks. So you still found a way to make money out of the 8,000 car parks. I'm sure one fine day you want to put a residential tower, but hopefully that won't happen.
It's a very interesting story. When I was doing Ansel Plaza, Delhi, so after a lot of back and forth, those days Mr. Ravi Reja used to come for the opening of Shoppers Stop, and he was there, and I told him, sir, now are you happy? It's everything is done, and your store is going to open this afternoon. That's not the game. The game is that every month you have to come with a begging bowl for your rental check, and every month you have to come and ask me this question. This business is like that. Hospitality is not a choice. When somebody comes to my house, I ask him for a glass of water. That's not hospitality. That's kind of a given. As what Rajneesh was saying, these are, when we did Ansel Plaza, and I'm going again back, escalator was a ride. People used to come and say, do we need to put an escalator? Not. There are lifts. Today you don't put an escalator in your mall. They will say, boss. One of the cinema operators, not PVR for sure. He's my partner. In one of the cities, I went and he had put mastic flooring. And I said, why have you, from carpet, why are you going back to mastic flooring? He said, no, isme na safai aasan hoti hai. I'm sorry, there's no farang here. So safai aasan hoti hai. Might as well put tiles here. You can't take the city back. I appreciate Cyrus's point that Amritsar is in a way that, ever since Ansel Plaza days, people used to come and rape those toilets. And used to say, okay, that's part of the cost. So I'm saying, you have to take this as a developer. What's my job? My job is to say, okay, I go to Dubai and see Dubai Mall. Everybody talks to Dubai Mall. You have to come and replicate. Otherwise, what will happen? times to come, people say, I'll do twice a year, I will do shopping. Like Shabnam would go to Dubai and probably shop for a wardrobe. The ticket is free. So we have to, those basics, infrastructure, the bylaws. I think, I've been discussing with Amit, these forums should actually be used. Why do we pay for the common areas? Why should common areas be part of FSI? I mean, he's done a mall. It is so expensive. Who on earth will make those? Come to Noida, I have huge corridors. If I do a mall in Punjab, I will not even dare to look at those size of corridors.
Sure. So there is an issue from a bylaw and from a regulatory perspective.
I just give the couple of examples from what Munish said. See, in many places where a customer has to cross a toll and pay some money to the government to reach the destination, malls tried to reimburse that toll ticket at a certain level of shopping. In one of the luxury brands in India, when I was talking to one of their store managers, they said, we felt that instead of putting ad in magazines and newspaper, it is better to give a 10,000-15,000 rupees gift voucher to the customer, because we have small base, very high repeat, and they spend couple of lakh rupees a year. So if I give 1-2% back to them as a gift voucher on their birthdays, it doesn't cost me, and it costs me much lesser to connect with the same customer. Similarly, you may have examples where we talk about competing within our cities or the local markets, but you may have somebody in Singapore or Dubai or in a closer destination coming up and saying, if your shopping bill in my mall is above certain level, I will pay for your flight ticket. Is the same philosophy taken to a different level. So soon you may be competing for the footfalls as far as across the border, because in the certain level of shopping, giving back customers something may not be that bad a option.
Sure, but it still adds on to the whole experience perspective. What do you do to try and get someone to get more experience? And, Raj, coming to you from entertainment perspective, right? And just looking at when you look at shopping centers and the tenant mix of these shopping centers, what are you expecting? You're a big box entertainment player. Are you expecting more? What are your thoughts to developers building large shopping centers, especially from a perspective that you're globally in some of the largest entertainment-driven shopping centers?
If one has to say, I think the most important thing is obviously when we talk to partners, we need to talk to them on the planning stage, simply because of the amount of work and construction that needs to be done for a Kidzania to be a part of a project. I think after that, I think the most important thing is partnership. I think the owner of the mall must believe that Kidzania is a partner and the other way around. If we're just going to be an anchor brand that pays rent, it's never going to work. We're spending 100 crores to construct an entertainment zone. Your owner must believe that the footfalls that I get will create some form of revenue. It's also the fact that we become an anchor brand. It allows the partner to believe that there's a differentiator. It allows a partner to believe that, yes, he's going to get footfalls from consumers who are not in proximity. So today, the R City gets consumers from town. You're not going to be able to do that if you don't have entertainment zones and if you don't work in partnership. And then, I think just for us, it's taken a very long time, even in Delhi, to be able to get a partner. We have him on board now. And that's simply because we want them to believe in the philosophy of what Kidzania does. It does add value to a consumer and the experience, and therefore, eventually will add value to the brand that we work with. And we found someone like that in both our partners.
And when you go into these assets, what are you really looking for? You're looking for more in terms of, so one is the philosophy.
Yeah.
Are you looking at more formats from entertainment perspective, or really it's just about the partnership and someone understanding the philosophy of entertainment?
No, I think for us, we're looking at support. I don't think that if there are additional entertainment formats, that there will be competition. I think it's important. I think it's important for a consumer to know that there is more to do in a specific destination. And like you said, more the merrier. If we have multiple entertainment opportunities, and like someone just said, entertainment goes beyond an FEC. It goes into food and beverages. It goes into the experience of when you walk into a mall. That's as important. And for a brand like Kidzania, which is global, which has partnered with brands like with malls like the Dubai Mall, Siam Paragon, etc., there's a certain level of service that the consumer gets, and that is a part of the experience that they get when they come to Kidzania. So that's what we look at.
Sure. I think one thing is clear is that good entertainment and a good social experience is definitely going to increase your catchment and your reach to customers. But there is a fundamental question that I think a lot of Indian developers have always raised, is that entertainment doesn't pay. And I know that question comes up a lot of times. We've got a couple of panelists, and I want to get their thoughts on it. Is that perception? Is that reality? Vijay, starting with you, what has your experience been? I mean, the largest multiplex chain, you've got, you keep signing properties, and one of your colleagues just said that you don't pay too much rent. So how do you really... Not for it. Okay, fine.
See, as far as the entertainment is concerned inside the mall, I think we have a much larger and a broader picture which has to be addressed. Once the malls are under planning stages, is the time when actually one has to initially start looking at those options today. Now, we all know that the ground floor coverage of a mall is not more than 45% across the country. So the 55% of the open spaces which are there, I think we should definitely allow the different formats of entertainment which are very skeptical on their revenues, and they are not that heavy revenue generating as in the system that they can pay very high rentals, but the developers should be encouraging them to give them spaces outside on the ground floor, outside the mall, to basically come and do up these spaces and do some of the formats where they should not be charged the rentals for that. But overall, the trading density of the mall gets affected by virtue of the increased footfalls. Now, those are the things which will eventually get into the system when it gets evolved. My son is a drummer. He plays music. I went to a mall and I asked him, my son wants to play a drum with his friends. He wants to entertain for 3 hours on a weekend. That's his hobby. He wants to do it. Can you please allow him to do that? There are enough lovers of music in the city of Noida. He says, no, yeah, no. You need to pay me ₹1,00,000 to do it. How can a student pay that money? Now, those thoughts have to evolve, wherein the people should be given spaces, wherein maybe that entertainment may be of a different nature, but eventually it adds to the overall success of the mall. That can be music, that can be so many things in the world to look at it. In PVR, we always think about that the customer experience is the utmost important. Now, that's how we say that the experience from the arrival has to start with. Now, that arrival experience has to start from the entry to the mall. Now, entrance of the mall, you come up, there are people who don't want to watch a movie at that time. There are people who want to plan that movie. So, we would ask the developers, okay, let us have a kiosk out there on the ground floor at a prominent position where the people can swipe a ATM machine and get our tickets there. The technology is changing every day. So I think the customer experiences are evolving today. It is going to take a long time in our state of affairs so that the whole things get evolved into it. Because I think the entertainment has to grow. It cannot be limited to a multiplex. It cannot be limited to only an F&B. The entertainment has to evolve.
Shabnam, how would you advise developers to look at this? In the sense that we all understand that entertainment is tough to build, it's expensive. Viraj told us you got to get involved at an early stage. It probably doesn't pay the right rent, but you still have some of the most successful shopping centers globally having a lot of entertainment. So, what is your take on this, and how do you advise developers?
Ashwin, what you've said right now is very true. If you have to be a successful shopping center, you have to have loads of entertainment. Everyone just doesn't come. That's why you see there is more crowd on weekends, where people actually come for a wholesome or a 360-degree experience. Where do you leave your children? It's not only about a one-stop shop. Like Cyrus said, it's a whole social experience. So people are not only coming for one point that today I'm going to buy a shoe, I'm going to buy a t-shirt, I'm going to go home. No, they want to see whether they're going to eat something at the food court, or today they feel like a restaurant, today do they want to spend that much. But eventually, any person going to a mall wants to do 2 or 3 things. So if you're not giving him those 2 or 3 things, the next best opportunity will give it to him. So any mall, whether it's Cyrus's or Rajneesh or Manish, they all understand the value of having great entertainment. I'm not even talking about good over here. I'm talking about great entertainment, because at the end of the day, everyone is, what are we looking at? Everyone says footfalls. How do you create that footfall? If you don't have the right entertainment, whether it's a small mall like ours, where it's a gallery, where again it's a TG driven, you have TG driven entertainment, whether it is in a promenade, whether it's in orbit, whether it's in infinity, you see your catchment, you see what drives them, and you create that entertainment. Whether it makes sense to get a PVR, a normal PVR, or a director's cut, or a Kidzania, you need to put it. And a lot of times the developers get involved in it from the planning stage, like Viraj has said. And today, the developers understand that they need to get involved with the entertainment at a larger sense. And that's the reason why they have kept the rentals low. It's not that they're getting it low or they want it low. Even they want the same entertainment, because people are not only going for shopping. They want to see where they can spend time with their children. And honestly, we do have a maids and a driver culture. So you do leave, where do you leave them? You leave them at a store? No, obviously that doesn't work. You have to find an atrium space or a food court space or some space which drives your TG. The main thing over here is your TG. What is your TG? What is it that they demand? Whether it's in a tier 1, tier 2, Emporio, Promenade, every person or every catchment. And one more thing is that the catchment might be the same, but the TG might be completely different. Look at Ambience, Promenade, and Emporio. All three, same area, same location, diversely different TG. Yes, there is a cross-pollination of people who go from one place to the other, but they are themselves looking and expecting a different entertainment.
Sure. So I think the point you're making really is that you've got to think through your entertainment strategy. You've got to look at who your TG is, what do they want, and really put formats that actually attract them. And I'm going to come to you, Rajneesh, but Manish, you put a lot of entertainment, right? And you're now putting in another format, right? Where's the money? And how do you see this?
So I have two partners sitting next to me who filled it up. So we're lucky to do the world's biggest indoor Kidzania, and of course a very big, which is a 18-screen PVR, and it's anytime, any movie concept. Vijay told me. Coming back to Vijay's point, and you know what, Vijay was just saying that his son wants to do this activity, and across the world, busking is such a basic activity. I mean, you go to any country in this world, you'll find kids, just playing that music in a corner and just enjoying it. They have their friends. That's not like, all of us, we go abroad and we see these concepts, get excited. Some of them, we're luckier to get Kidzania in. But there is so many basics, very, very low on investment, And let me tell you, even when I say, with the numbers which we have signed, on a plot of land, the cheapest rental of mall is more expensive than a residential or a commercial real estate. Let's face it, mall still makes the maximum amount of money, investment, return on the investments when you do a shopping mall as compared to office or a residential building. So that's the only high which all of us live with, and we say, okay, no problem. If somebody is paying you less, there's somebody else who's putting you 10 times that rental. So rental is, as I always say, all of us, we always look at, let's get our expenses down. That's not the game. The game is that I am getting 90,000 people a day in Great India Place. When I'm doing my other mall, I'm saying instead of 8,000 car parks, now I'm going to operate out of 12,500 car parks. That's where the game is. The game is not, okay, because there are more shops coming, let me reduce the rent by half. Rent is only 10% of the cost. There is the product to be bought, the product to be sold, there are interior costs, there are depreciation costs. I personally feel that shopping mall is the business to be in. I know that as a percentage is still low as compared to high street, but you have to look at the age. It takes 5 years for a shopping mall to get settled. You can say instantly, like take an example of Saket. The mall, which is probably the most least as a location, is the best as performance. Always we say location. The other two malls were at the corners. The one was in the center. So it's a lot bigger game than saying that, okay, is the rent more or is the rent less? Coming back to the number of operators, I always give that example of Southex. In Southex Part 1, there used to be a Bata store, which used to do 70 lakhs of sale. I'm talking when I did Ansel Plaza 15 years ago. So Southex Part 1, Bata used to do, Bata by the way is a foreign brand. Some people don't realize that. It's still a foreign brand. Don't remember them and the high chappals you wear when you were young. So they had, and then they opened in Southex Part 2. And for first few months, they were doing 40, 45 lakhs. And 8 months down the line, they were doing 70 lakhs each. So it's also, even when we are doing phase 2, at least 40% of the occupants who are in GIP are repeating themselves there. Because you just get bored of that situation. There's the same tile, the same interior, and say, okay, so what we're planning, we'll do GIP, Gardens Galleria, which is GIP phase 2, and then we start renovating the GIP, which is the original GIP. I think the focus should be not on how to save those basic expenses. You can't save them. You have to run the AC, you have to run the AC. There's no choice. So I think the focus should be how can we increase that total volume of business. How far can we? There's somebody in Kochi, Lulu Mall has done a huge mall, and what is expectation? The whole of Kerala is going to come in. It takes a lot of guts to do that. There are buses coming in just to do shopping in that mall, and he's organizing those buses also. Is that hospitality? No, it's basic.
Sure. So I think, the basic standard is gone. And obviously you've found that your experience in just putting big box entertainment has actually really paid off. It's just not about the rent. It's about what it actually generates in terms of foot traffic, in terms of overall experience. Rajnish, in orbit, right? And what is your thinking in the future? Do you see yourself shifting more to entertainment? Because you've relatively been cinema, a bit of food, in FEC, not really big box entertainment concepts. Do you see yourself moving to that level?
I think if you look at the overall shift in the market and the consumption, the clear-cut differentiation in customer preferences is that product shopping, product or transaction-based shopping is not driving the decisions of where you go. Slowly and steadily is the experience that you feel while you are in the shopping center and the opportunities beyond product consumption on ground, as you can call it, which is not that something you're taking home, but you're consuming at site. So which is entertainment, which is food, which is movies, and the other experiences. They are going to be much more compulsive than relevant in future. Now, yes, we would like to do it slowly and steadily as and when we getting opportunities to bring these components, we are improving them. But it doesn't really have to come out of leasing out a shop to these activities. Like as Monish said, there is a lot of open spaces. There are ground coverages are limited. There are spaces other than the shops. We have atriums, we have common spaces, which can be utilized to provide much more entertainment or engagement to the customer. We have malls which we planned many years back because the first mall completed 10 years and of course it was designed 14 years back. The other ones were also designed a decade back. So our opportunities are limited in our portfolio. But when we are looking at newer properties or when we are designing newer properties, we definitely are looking at entertainment and food and beverage and activity based. So if you see the common spaces, the open spaces have been utilized for a soccer field. There are a lot of people do booking and at times we get requests in Malad where people say, I need my birthday, kid's birthday to be done there. Can you influence the booking? So they are running 10-15 days advance booking. So if you are a late comer, you may not find booking for the day your son or daughter is having her or his birthday. So we get those requests and as a third party we can't influence them. That's a separate issue. But those activities are deriving the footfall to the mall. And as Monesh said, is not about rental. If you are a chef and you are wanting to spread out a nice buffet to your customers, you are not going to make 80% margin, gross margin on every food item that you put on buffet. You will have some basic item where your gross margin will be 95%, and you will have some exotic dish which may give you only 30% gross margin. So when we are planning a complete shopping experience, we are aware that there are elements which will not pay you as well as some other elements will, and is a average game. So we are looking at creating an experience for customers to enjoy being there, to patronize the destination, to frequently visit, to make it part and parcel of their life cycle. So that for entertainment, even if as a customer I have nothing to do, I have no shopping in mind, and I have nothing to do at home on a weekend or in the evening, I should look forward to come to that mall, maybe for a glass of beer, maybe for a walk, maybe just to hang around and feel good. You have to become part and parcel of the life cycle of your neighbors to make them come again and again back to you. It's like why Coke and Pepsi would continuously advertise. It's just to be relevant in the people's mind, customers' mind. You're buying the mind share. Similarly, the shopping centers have to start doing that. They have to continuously engage with the customer in a manner that they are high on the recall. Whenever you think of going out, so in that sense, I think we are not competing with shopping malls. We are competing with open spaces in urban spaces. If somebody has to go in Bombay to Carter Road and spend some time, I would rather look at that customer coming to me in my air-conditioned environment and spend that 3 hours with the hope that in 3 hours they will have a cup of coffee, they will have a burger, or they will have a meal, or they may decide to go for a movie. So you have to connect much more. You have to engage much more. You have to make your spaces much more joyful for the customer to feel good while they are spending time at the property. The decision of going for a kidzania or going for a movie or going for a particular meal may become secondary. It is just the relevance of the options that you offer to the customer. But first you have to engage, make the customer happy being there.
Sure. I think the key really is that we, in a very interesting time, customers have got options. They've got the choice today. And if you're not satisfying a human need, a core human need, that people just want to have a good time. I picked up an interesting stat a few weeks back that the average age of marriages in Bombay, Delhi, and Bangalore for males has gone from 21 2 decades back to 26.7, right? You've got more guys out there who want to socialize. You've got more women out there who want to socialize. They want to go out, and you have to fulfill a human need. Because if it's all about e-commerce, they can buy over the internet, right? Now, Shabnam, marketing, right?
I hope you're not proposing to put a Shadi.com counter in our malls.
I don't know. I'm leaving the floor open. You can do anything. I'm just saying that there's a lot out there that can be done, and there are a few e-commerce people who are wanting to come into shopping centers. So it'll be interesting to watch. But Shabnam, marketing, right? How are you looking at marketing? And I think there are two parts. I think you're involved with high-end properties. So you're still working even with that customer where you've got a short success. You know exactly who your TG is. You know they come with a particular profile. You give them a particular experience, but you still end up doing a lot of marketing. And then you've got the general environment. So what is your take on that?
Actually, I think it's not that simple to get brand loyalty from someone who's actually going abroad and shopping twice a year. So you do need to create a lot of incentive for them. They already know everything. They have everything. And, luxury is a very strange thing. And the only way you can make it a necessity. Fridge once upon a time was a luxury. Today it's a necessity. It's like what Manish said. Some things are just not, they are just basic. You do need to give it to them. They expect it. It's a part of the hospitality. It's like when you enter a 5-star hotel, you expect the butler to pick up your suitcase. You expect it to be checked in automatically into the room which you are. So there's a certain expectation which the extremely high-end clientele is looking at, and they will not compromise for nothing. They've seen it all, they know it, and they want to be treated, pampered. That's why you have to create that space for them, whether it is an art show, whether it's a pop-up. And it's more challenging because you need to get their adrenaline rolling, whether they really want to come and see it. Yes, everyone knows what is where and how it needs to be done. Marketing is not PR.
Sure.
And that is something which all mall developers need to know. It's not about just putting an ad. It's like what Rajneesh said. There is a little effort needed to create that loyalty, the brand loyalty. There are a lot of people who are coming to places like Emporio, and it has become a North India hub. It's not a hub just for a Delhiite or a Bombayite. It's a North India hub. People want to be felt special. So at this point in time, I would say I would rather nurture my high-end clientele or my person who is giving me the right turnover rather than just creating an event for the same social 30 people. No, I don't want to do that. I want to give that experience of that extra specialness to the people who are actually coming to experience the hospitality of, let's say, a luxury environment or a semi-luxury. Similarly, anyone today, if they are coming from a East Delhi or a West Delhi to South Delhi or to Ambis, they are also driving down from a particular area, because please understand, Delhi is not so central. So people are coming from their weekends to whether it is a Bombay or a Malad. Every area has become mini city. So there are people who are actually getting out of their comfort zone, let's say from a Rajouri garden, coming to a South Delhi mall, whichever it might be, and they want to experience it. There is a reason why they're coming, to get the right marketing. They're not coming because you pasted an ad on the newspaper. They're coming because they want to experience the fanciness or the uniqueness or the marketing or the fair or the flea market or the promotions or the Kidzania or the exclusive PVR, what you're giving them.
Sure. Raj, you do a lot to create an experience. I know a family whose kids go to Kidzania and they actually have a major problem because every weekend their kids just want to go to Kidzania and it's becoming a problem. So what are you doing from a marketing experience to just create that magic? A, within your store, B, as a mall. What is your expectation? Because it comes back to customer experience.
Absolutely. I think Kidzania is a tried and tested model across the globe. We've been successful across. Now we're launched in 16 markets. So there's a lot of learning on servicing levels across, and we stick to our global standards. But if you look at any consumer, he's looking at change. He's looking at an opportunity to experience something else. That's why there's repeat. So if you look at Kidzania, there's always going to be change in the experience when he walks in. First of all, obviously, there's the experience of hospitality, when someone walks in. The other is when he experiences the activities within Kidzania, every quarter there's a change in it. So therefore, there's a reason for him to come back. We've created Kidzania not just as a destination for children in entertainment and experiencing activities. It's to host birthday parties. It's for corporates to host events. So therefore, it becomes an opportunity for multiple different consumers to come and use.
Sure. So I think the key really is, again, coming back to it, that there's a lot you need to do in small initiatives to try and get, even through marketing, whether it's Shabnam looking at the actual TG and understanding what they really need and actually catering to that extent. It's just not about simple blockbuster stuff, or it is like Kidzania where every time a child comes in, it is a different experience, and that is what is driving him to come again and again. Monish, what about your experience, right? You've got a massive amount of F&B, and you also do a lot of work, in quite a challenging market, right, to try and push consumers to take that choice to come to your shopping center over someone else.
Sure, I'll answer your question, but before that I'll invite Vijay's son to come and play the djembe with us in the mall. Last year we had this troupe which wanted to come and play the djembe, and we set a record for 10 hours non-stop drumming, which was the first in Pune, as well as it was also precursor to an event the next week, which was the World Drumming Day, where in Amenora we were able to get them 670 registrations. So in Pune, I think it was a record of sorts, 670 people playing the djembes or drumming at one time. So Vijay, you can get this done there. Yeah. So we constantly try and do new things. We do not base giving out spaces short-term, medium-term, just on the renting capability. We try and do innovative stuff, like recently we had a contemporary dance troupe from Netherlands which wanted to use some of our spaces. And over a period of 3 days, I think we had about 600 newcomers registered and who learned some contemporary dance, who had been to the mall first time. And this is right from West Pune, Central Pune, coming from as far as smaller cities in and around Pune. The right fallout of all this is the impact of the sales on the F&B brands. The coffee shops were doing well, which was appreciated. Then we focus a lot on music-driven events. We give spaces out to budding artists to perform. We utilize their talents by giving them spaces. We've had art contest, trying and creating arts and giving them spaces and sponsoring some of the prizes. The idea is, how do you distinguish and give a unique offering? I think we are operating in a city which has already an oversupply of malls. So
Sure.
unless you don't do something different and something unique and go all out of the way to bring in newcomers, encourage new talent, that's what the USP will be always.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to talk about a quick point. One is, you've got a very intelligent consumer in India who's got a lot of exposure. We need to give them credit for that, right? So whether it's through movies or travel today, what a consumer was 10 years ago is no longer what a consumer is today, and you need to respect that, right? So if you're not being able to give that in a mall today or in any other format of experience, you're never going to get him back. It's great to have someone walk in once, you're never going to get that repeat. It was the biggest issue that we had when we came into India, where Kidzania was across the globe. And what everyone said was, will India be able to compete in the global standards that a Dubai has or, a Japan has? And that's the one thing that we hear with every consumer, that, we're probably better than the one with experience in Dubai or better than the one in KL, which is what's heartening. The other thing I think what we do, which is interesting, to market Kidzania, is we've got a concept called Kidzania Go. It's a short format of Kidzania that you take out. So you have a certain catchment area where people are going to come in, but why not take Kidzania out to people, get them a feel of what the experience is, so that they're going to come back to the big center. And that may be something that, mall developers and owners can
That's
look
great.
at. Yeah.
That's great, because if you can take it out and if people
That's
can get a flavor of what they're going to see,
Absolutely.
that's another step encouraging them. Vijay, just a quick thought from your side as well is that, there are a lot of multiplex operators. You're one of them. But one of the things that I've seen about PVR is that the experience is the same. Go to a PVR in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, it's the same experience and the consistency. It comes back to respecting your customer. And what is your game plan been from that perspective?
PVR is now in 49 cities in the country. So our experience is, what we feel that as far as this cinema viewing is fairly divided into 3 different zones. Cinema viewing experience in South is very different from cinema viewing experience from the customer point of view in West and compared to the North. But one thing is consistent, is that across zones in the country, people want the best of the best services from the cinema operator. That's one thing which they always want. Second thing is that they all want a change after some time. Because then we did our own in-house research as to what should be the most ideal case scenarios for people not to get bored, not to get to give them a new look and feel of the cinema. So we eventually decided that once the cinema has crossed the 3.5 million footfalls inside the multiplex, we need to give them something new. And we did that we did that recently in Forum Mall, Bangalore. And after that, we did it in Select City Walk. We did it in MGF in Gurgaon. We are doing that consistently now. And there has been a phenomenal change in the numbers. Forum Mall, Bangalore, which had one time the footfalls had dipped down to about 2 million admissions, is now up by 15%. So it's gone to 2.3 million. So I think we would have to constantly renovate, put in some extra monies, revive the experience, not to that it's just earning money and we sit idle and we don't want to have the cinema experience enhanced. So I think the enhancement of the experience is very important.
So I think you have to keep upgrading your product. I'm going to take a quick last question before we open to the floor. Is that entertainment operators, right? It's always an issue. We don't have enough operators. How do we get this sorted out? How do we put more entertainment into our shopping centers? And we challenge the issue on rent, but investment, right? In my experience, a lot of the global shopping centers have put the money in themselves. And is that what we need to do to drive new entertainment operators to start coming up? Or do we need to contribute? Cyrus, what's your thought? How does your group look at it?
So, Ashwin, clearly, I think one of the challenges that we are facing right now is the paucity of national brands in this particular category right now. There's a classic dichotomy for a developer whether he really needs to invest in somebody else's business in which he doesn't know enough, or to probably support them by giving them the appropriate infrastructure. I think possibly developers would have a halfway house decision by probably providing them a kind of warm shell of fit outs, etc., and let the operator do the actual business part of it. So probably that is the way to go, but clearly still the biggest challenge is to get good quality skilled operators in this space.
Sure. I think the operator issue is going to remain. Manish, what about yourself, right? Would you put investment in, would you look at putting money into these formats and driving them?
Why not? I mean, I personally feel, one way of, as we were discussing, one way of looking at all this is how many ticket sales and how many, you have to look at from an asset development point of view. I mean, end of the day, there is a land which you bought, there is an appreciation on that. The money is not only in the ticket sales and the popcorn. I mean, I'm sure Vijay is happy what's the share price of his company today. So, there is an overall valuation game also, you have to understand there is a bigger thing to all this. And if you consider all those things, I think all of us are making a lot of money. And I don't think we should complain. If we are not, we should not be in the business. At least my conviction is that in shopping malls business, and I only do that in real estate, I don't understand any other portfolio. I think wherever a shopping mall has come, whether it's a sold model or a lease model, there's hardly anything in which the developer has not made money. There would be regular issues of Vijay saying me, okay, the sales have gone down, I'll tell him to renovate, he'll say there's some money to be spent, I'll give him some rent free, or we'll figure that thing out. But overall, the whole thing is, kharcha badega to aamadni badegi. So you have to somewhere spend that money to earn that money back into your pockets.
Sure. I think a lot of what is happening globally is that shopping centers owners are putting money in as part of the capex to bring big box entertainment. It's just the core of creating that whole experience. And I think we're running out of time, so I don't think we can open the floor. But I'm just going to leave a thought to all of you is that we're in changing times. We as consumers, Viraj made a good point. If you don't respect your customer, because your customer is us. I heard a very popular shopping center owner once say that if I went to a shopping center and found the experience better than mine, I would think I've failed. And it comes back to the fundamental philosophy. We as individuals are outliving products on a day-to-day basis. The iPhone 5 comes and people have forgotten the 3. The iPhone 5S comes and people have forgotten the 5, right? And is the same going to happen with shopping centers? If we're not keeping up to pace, if we're not creating that magic and giving an awe to customers, are we going to outlive these products that we are building today? I think that's just the core question that I'm going to leave you all with. Thank you very much to our panelists, and thank you very much for being here and listening to our session.